Today I got a package from a small but fierce company called Kobold Press, and inside the package is a new Tome of Heroes book. And if you do not know what it is, well, basically it is over 70 new subclasses, more than 20 new races, a dozen new backgrounds, a shop's worth of equipment, new ways of using magic, 50 new spells like fuse armor, conjure fireflies, and new optional rules for downtime activities, for creating a party with a group team, and for using weapons to affect combat in ways other than dealing damage. And I did not just read that from the book, I actually know that stuff by heart. Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters, welcome to my probably first impressions video ever, but I wanted to get my 2 cents out about the Tome of Heroes by Kobold Press, the brand new book that looks absolutely insane. I've had it for 2 days now and I've been flipping through it and I'm just ready to give my first impressions, and I want to do 2 things in this video. First of all, I want to tell you what you get from the book and talk about a few points you need to know before you actually decide on buying it, and then I want to just show you a few things that caught my eye. Also, I cannot show you the PDF today because the backers haven't gotten their PDFs yet, so we have to wait for the full review to do that. But I've decided to show you some B-roll footage instead. So first things first, what do you get from buying the Tome of Heroes from Kobold Press? Well, before I want to talk about the insane, incredible value this potentially offers for you, there is a very important point that I want to put out. There are a lot of Kobold Press products, as you can see on my shelf right here, including some player guides, there is the Midgard Heroes Handbook, there's other books, and a bunch of the content, well, at least some of the content in the Tome of Heroes is actually reprinted from some of the books by Kobold Press, meaning that if you have a ton of Kobold Press books already, it is very smart of you to first figure out what is reprinted and if you actually need the Tome of Heroes. Now, that said, when I flip through it, personally, I'm seeing a ton of new content and I really want to read more about, dig deeper into this book. This is the kind of book that will probably end up in my small collection of books that is always on the table when there is character creation involved, like the Player's Handbook, like Xanatar's Guide to Everything, because this just has everything Kobold Press has to offer in that department, meaning that all the races are in here, all the classes are in here, all the spells are in here. There's so much incredible value from the $50 you're paying for this thing. It is big. It is a big book with a ton of new content and a ton of old content just compiled in a very, very beautiful package. My players are going to love the extra stuff they can use from this book, because normally I have a pile of books with all kinds of content that my players have to dig through in order to find something they like. Now they just have this one. Also, very quickly, it isn't out yet on the market. The backers have gotten their copy, but it is right now on the Kobold Press store. You can pre-order it via the link in the description below, and you will probably get it in July or August or something around that time. Now, since this is a early impressions video, let me just quickly show you a few things from the book that I really like and that stood out to me. And like always, I immediately go to the fighter subclasses, and what I saw here was immediately satisfying, because there is a subclass called the Buccaneer. The Buccaneer is essentially a pirate that focuses on fighting with a light weapon in one hand, a scimitar for example, and a freaking gunpowder pistol in the other hand, making you like one of those true pirates, dual-wielding pirates, cutting people and shooting people at the same time. And it is really awesome for people who are playing seafaring adventures, like, I don't know, maybe the one that I wrote with JVC Parry that got Kickstarter, and it's really cool. Third level, you have gun mastery, and it essentially gives you maneuvers like the other subclass for the fighter in the Player's Handbook. This gives you maneuvers especially for your pistol. So if you're shooting your pistol, you can choose between like deafening blast and penetrating shot and powerful shot and soft spot. You can basically like shoot somebody in the foot, right? And then you lower their speed by 10 feet. You can do an unsteadying shot. The burst destabilizes the target. The target must succeed on the strength saving throw or have disadvantage on all attacks until the start of the next turn. Also, it has an ability called Deck Fighter. At 7th level, your training keeps you nimble, allowing you to maintain balance and reflexes responses at the worst of times, basically giving you the chance to re-roll any dexterity saving throw ever for a few times a day. Now, there are 15 races in this book to choose from. Some of the races are alternate versions of races we already know and love, like the dwarf, the elf, the human, the gnome, the halfling. But one race that I really like this design choice of is the Darakhul. Now, the Darakhul is basically a ghoul, but somewhat more intelligent, and I really like the design of it because it has a bunch of traits like any race would, but then you look at what race your character was before they became a Darakhul. So for example, if they were a dwarf or they were a dragonborn, you get two completely different sets of traits, racial traits, from being a Darakhul. And somebody at Kobold Press really loves Undead because there's about 6 pages devoted to the Darakhul, including tips and tricks on how to play one. So the last thing I want to talk about is they introduce a bunch of new weapons they call special weapons, and the reason for that is because they have special rules. For example, there is a blunderbuss, and it is basically a pistol, but you shoot it in a 15-foot cone, and everybody in that area has to make a dexterity saving throw or take damage. They also have a club shield, which is basically a shield and a weapon, and for example, the double axe from 3.5th edition is back. And that's about it for this first quick look at this book. That actually rhymes. This actually might be a very good title for this video. Anyway, I am ready to read through this, flip through this, read it cover to cover, check out what I really like about it, maybe some things that I like less about it, and until then, bye-bye.